always from the heart of the city, and now on demand 24/7 on the CHFI website. This is the soundtrack to Africa, and I'm Don Jackson around the world on the internet. Pliny the Elder suggested there is always something new out of Africa. Karen Blixen, who lived between 1885 and 1962, wrote, "I have before seen other countries in the same manner give themselves to you when you are about to leave them." She was born April the 17th, 1885. You might not recognize her by her real name, but I alluded to who she really is by that quote about out of Africa. And when I say the soundtrack to Africa in my opening, that is exactly what she did with her finely crafted words. Isaac Dennison, this hour, with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. RyanDan, Like the Sun, and Elton John, and Can You Feel the Love Tonight? I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I had seen a herd of elephant traveling through dense native forest, pacing along as if they had an appointment at the end of the world. Unquote. From the rich African tapestry that Isaac Dennison weaves almost from the start in Chapter 1 of Out of Africa. In order to understand her love for this continent, one must know something about her life. I turn to Merriam-Webster's Encyclopedia of Literature for that. Isaac Dennison was a pseudonym for Karen Christens Dennison, born April 17th, 1885, in Rungsted, Denmark. In her bio they write, and I quote, "Danish writer whose finely crafted stories set in the past and pervaded with an aura of supernaturalism incorporate the themes of eros and dreams." Unquote. She accompanied her husband to Africa. There they owned and directed a coffee plantation in Kenya. After her divorce in 1921, she continued to operate the plantation for 10 years until mismanagement, drought, and the falling price of coffee forced her return to Denmark. Her years in Kenya are recorded in a non-fiction book, Out of Africa, written in 1937. These highly regarded memoirs of her years in Kenya reveal an almost mystical love of Africa and its people. Unquote. It reminds me of an African proverb that says, "Our love is like the misty rain that falls softly but floods the river." We'll follow her on that mystical journey this hour with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Norah Jones and Come Away With Me, and Billy Joel on A River of Dreams. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. In a review of the film Out of Africa, Joy Gould Boyum in the March '86 issue of Glamour magazine said, and I quote, "If Danish author Isaac Dennison and her lover, British adventurer Denny Finch Hatton, had never existed, the movies would have invented them. After all, how much more romantic can two figures be than a wealthy, entitled woman who ran a farm almost single-handedly in distant Kenya in the early years of the century, and a handsome white hunter who died in the prime of his life?" And so it's far from surprising that Out of Africa is charged with romanticism too. It presents us with a larger-than-life heroine who courageously faces the desertion of her dissolute husband. The crippling disease he left her is a legacy, and the loneliness of African life. Against a breathtaking backdrop of exotic landscapes and sunsets, the film also creates an almost classic male-female relationship, unquote. And of course it revealed her need for a real commitment, and of course the lover's avoidance of one. It starred Meryl Streep and Robert Redford. The Glamour article that I just featured a few excerpts from also featured a wonderful still from the film of Redford washing Meryl Streep's hair. Do you remember that scene in Out of Africa? Merriam-Webster's alluded to an almost dreamlike, mystical quality to her writing, suggesting that it is filled with elements of the supernatural. Again, another excerpt from the rich mosaic that is Out of Africa, and I quote, "The giraffe, in their inimitable vegetative gracefulness, as if it were not a herd of animals, but a family of rare, long-stemmed, speckled, gigantic flowers, slowly advancing." Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Richard Marx, Right Here Waiting, and Jim Cuddy, and Pull Me Through. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. A love song to a continent and its peoples. The words of Isaac Dinesen. If I know a song of Africa, I thought of the giraffe and the African new moon lying on her back, of the plows in the fields and the sweaty faces of the coffee pickers. Does Africa know a song of me? Would the air over the plain quiver with a color that I had had on, or the children invent a game in which my name was? Or the full moon throw a shadow over the gravel of the drive that was like me? Or would the eagles of Ngong look out for me? Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Jacksoul on a Shady Day, Chicago, wishing you were here, and Toto in Africa. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. From another recent collection featuring many writers called The Romantic Heart, edited by Linda Sunshine, and published by Hearst, who also published Victoria magazine, was this very telling quote from Isaac Dinesen. She wrote, "When I was very young, I fell deeply in love and really believed I would never feel that way again. Then, 9 years later, I did, and much, much more strongly and deeply than before." Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Colbie, Caillat, Fallin for You, and Lady Antebellum, and Need You Now. And I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. This is an excerpt from Livingston's African Journal, written between 1853 and 1856. The trees abound, and so does honey, This is evidence of a great number of flowers, though of few varieties. Some would deserve a place in our flower shows, but are born to blush unseen, except by the angels. Isaac Dinesen knew that about Africa. Her writing is filled with descriptions of this cradle of civilization. It's the 16th of April, 2010. Dinesen was born April 17th, 1885, and died September 7th, 1962. From the collection Words of Love 2, The Romance Continues, edited by Tina Reed, a parody book published by Berkeley, was this, written by Isaac Dinesen. And I quote, "Man and woman are two locked caskets, of which each contains the key to the other." Unquote. She certainly unlocked some of the mysteries of Africa and made it forever on some level a place we would know. From out of Africa and into our hearts, with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.